If you clicked on this video, I'm assuming you're as obsessed with the TV show Succession as I am right now. We're all waiting to see what's going down with the Roy family. It's going to be the series finale, it's crescendoing, everything's going crazy. But there's also a fashion story that is going viral in our current moment, I think in very large part thanks to Succession. And that is the subject of quiet luxury or stealth wealth or whatever you want to call it. And what that really means is very, very hyper expensive clothing that maybe just isn't as loud as what we're used to from luxury fashion. Like if you look around the modern luxury landscape, you're probably thinking about brands like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga. If you look at these brands' runway shows, it's pretty obvious that it is high fashion. It's new silhouettes, kind of loud colors, combinations, patterns, graphics, all of this stuff. And it gives the impression of something new and something expensive. But there's this whole other crop of brands out there, ones that are actually usually even more expensive than the most popular luxury brands, that are doing things in a different way. What these brands do is they focus on things like materials and cuts and tailoring, stuff like that, to provide luxury in just a very different style than Gucci or Balenciaga. So who are these brands? The ones that are talked about the most these days are Zegna, Canali, Loro Piana, Giorgio Armani, Brunello Cucinelli, Tom Ford. There's a whole list of them. And these are the types of places that wealthy people go to get a new suit or button-down shirt or sweater or pair of loafers or brogues or whatever the case may be. And while Gucci might charge, $600 for a t-shirt, you could go into Tom Ford and spend $1,000 to $2,000 for a t-shirt. And that's before we even start talking about tailoring. Like a suit from one of these brands, $2,000 plus at least. But I've been throwing around all of these huge numbers, huge prices. But I've got a secret to tell you. You can have all of these brands, all of these pieces, without paying even 10% of that. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. And that's because there's this thing that people don't really talk about with these, that the value proposition is all out of whack here. Like, I'm not saying these brands aren't worth it. It's just that you don't need to pay what they're charging when you walk into one of their stores. So here's how things work. I'll just use Canali as an example. You walk into a Canali boutique, you say, I want a suit, you're probably paying $2,000. But I'll tell you right now, you could go onto somewhere like The RealReal and probably get a Canali suit for $100 to $200. So that's already 90% off. But that's not even the end of it, because you could also go on to like Grailed or Poshmark or something and probably get a suit for $100, maybe even less. And you might think that's the end of the equation, but it's not. Because the final step here, the lowest rung on the price ladder, for the same piece that someone paid $2,000 for, is to get it at a thrift store. I know, crazy. Like, you can find a $2,000 suit at a thrift store? Abso-fucking-lutely you can. And if you buy it there, prices fluctuate from store to store, but most likely you're not going to be paying more than $20 for that Canali suit that originally at the Canali store cost $2,000. $20. Think about that. And that's not a knock on Canali. They do make some of the best suits in the world. All of these brands, Canali, Zegna, Tom Ford, Brunello Cucinelli, all of these things, Loro Piana, they make some of the best clothes in the world, and you can get them for cheap. But don't just take my word for it. Let me show you, because this is what I do. I thrift all the time. I go to the stores in my area and I pick up the stuff that I think I can make some money on. And that's how I afford the clothes I wear. So let me show you just some of the things that I've found, and I find these all the time, believe me. So here is my wall of thrifted clothing that I'm selling, and the crazy thing is, this is not even close to all of it. Let's start with some blazers in here. All right, opened up this first box. Let's see what we got. This one is an amazing, like, knit, super soft plaid blazer, and we can see this is made with Loro Piana cashmere. It's like as good as it gets. I think I paid like $5 or $6 for this. This guy right here, Canali, again, I doubt I paid more than $5. This next one, this beautiful gray one, mainline Giorgio Armani, I think this one I paid $7. But a lot of people don't just want a blazer, they want a full suit. So what do we got there? This first two-piece, it's like this incredible, incredible woven fabric pinstriped here by Zegna. Just the cloth, just the cloth. The thing is, I don't have that many suits at this point because they sell so fast. And how about trousers? I keep those in here. This gray wool pair here, of course, it's Canali. And right underneath it, there's this incredible pair. Look at the texture there from Armani. La Collezione, but you know, still Armani. And here is an insane pure wool pair from a quiet luxury favorite, Brunello Cucinelli. This is an insanely expensive pair of pants that I thrifted for a few dollars. And what about like some classic button-downs? With these, I get so much Ermenegildo Zegna, is that even how you say it? So much Zegna and Canali, I can't even keep the things in stock. And that's on top of the usual premium and luxury pieces like Burberry right here, a lot of like Paul Smith, Hugo Boss, John Varvatos, all sorts of stuff insanely cheap here. And then there's like sweaters and outerwear and that kind of thing. And let me tell you, this one is actually a tough one because stuff like my Loro Piana sweaters and stuff that I find sell immediately. But I can still show you stuff like this vintage piece from Lanvin, or this really nice wearable fleece from one of our favorites, Zegna. And then finally, there are the shoes. This might be where it's actually like most lucrative. You'll find nice suede shoes from Giorgio Armani. Or, and this is a little faded here, Salvatore Ferragamo. Or even slightly less luxury brands, like this is a crazy exotic pair of loafers from To Boot, New York. They make their stuff in Italy, really nice. You see this all the time. Bali, the Swiss brand, you see that all the time. Yeah, shoes are a gold mine, whether you're selling or just keeping them for yourself. All right, I should stop there because I could go literally all day through this stuff. So that right there, my friends, is how you dress stealth wealth without the wealth. And I am a walking example of this. I don't dress in this quiet luxury style very often, but sometimes it makes sense if you're going to a formal event or work function or something like that. Right now, I am wearing a mainline Giorgio Armani black wool suit and a Zegna shirt underneath. Now, let's do the math. If I were to walk into their stores and buy these, the Armani suit would probably be, again, $1,500 plus. Let's just round it out. Let's say $1,800. The shirt from Zegna would probably be a bit less, maybe like $500 or $600. So the outfit I am wearing right now would cost me, let's say, minimum $2,200 US. What did I pay for it? Well, let's get a drum roll. I'm speaking to me in the future because I'll edit in a drum roll here. Yeah, that's a good drum roll. For this outfit that I'm wearing right now that I get tons of use out of that looks luxury, I paid $20. I paid $15 for this suit, two-piece black Armani mainline suit, and I paid $5 for the button-down shirt that I am wearing. Yeah, that's crazy. At least I think so. But I do have some rules to tell you, okay? It's not just that easy. You can't just walk into any thrift store and get this stuff. There's some stuff I want you to keep in mind, okay? First off, keep an eye on your definition of thrift store, because you and me, we may have different definitions. Like people in major cities like New York or LA, I've noticed when they say thrift store, they're really talking about a vintage store, like a curated boutique where someone is going out, sourcing stuff, and then charging, you know, resale prices, like Grailed level prices for this stuff. Now, that is not my definition of a thrift store. To me, I'm saying you need to go to Goodwill, Salvation Army, maybe even Savers, places like that. That is where you're going to find the dirt cheap, quiet luxury pieces. So if you're in one of those big cities, you may need to just step slightly outside into the suburbs to find those cheap thrift stores that have mostly been run out of the major cities. And on the other end of things, if you're in like rural Kansas, if you go to a Goodwill there, I have to assume you're probably finding it's like Carhartt and Wrangler as far as the eye can see. So it may not work for you. You need to be at least somewhat near a small to mid-sized city, but pretty much every thrift store I go to, I find something along these lines. I would say literally every time I go to the thrift store, I find a piece from Canali or Zegna or Armani. Slightly less often, but still regularly, like maybe at least 20% of the time, I'm finding something from Loro Piana or Brunello Cucinelli. And then there's some stuff that you really just don't see often, like Tom Ford, you're not gonna find at a Goodwill really ever. It's just too new and skews a bit too young. Like what you're really looking for is the stuff that somebody so rich and so old bought that either they pass away and it's given without them knowing, or they're just so rich that they're like, oh yeah, that old Zegna Canali suit, yeah, just give it to Goodwill. $2,000, I don't care, you know? And my second big rule is don't waste your time in certain sections. People like us, I'm assuming me and you, if I know my demographics, and I think I do, people like us, when they go to the thrift store, they usually go directly to a few places. They go to the t-shirts, they go to the jeans, they go to the sneakers, basically anywhere that's gonna have more streetwear-oriented stuff. But that leaves entire sections of the thrift store basically ripe for the picking. It has not been picked by people yet. So I encourage you to go look at the suits and blazers, take a look at the button-down shirts, the sweaters, the formal shoes like the loafers and derbies and things like that, because that is where you're gonna find the quiet luxury pieces like this. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I like kind of giving this type of advice to people. If you go out and use this advice, please comment. Come back and comment. Let me know how it went. Take a look at the other video on screen here. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, and yeah, let's see what happens at the end of Succession here. It's going to be crazy. All right, see ya.